Cloud.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday's meeting of Fresno City Toastmasters. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chanel. I'm our current club president. We like to start off our meetings here at Fresno City Toastmasters by reading our mission statement, which is the mission statement for our club and also for Toastmasters overall. It brings us back to the purpose of why we meet here together. The mission of Toastmasters is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience to empower our members to develop better communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. That is our goal here. We have two guests who are joining here in person. Could you guys say your names for everybody who's on Zoom, just real quickly?
Sure. My name is Jose Quintana.
Yeah, I'm Joe Kennedy.
And you're both with CAL FIRE.
Yeah, we both work for CAL FIRE.
Yes. Come to check out Toastmasters for the first time. So happy to have you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So for those of you who are here in person, we clap in person to welcome people to the podium, both physically and virtually. And also, if you need to use restroom, there's a restroom around the corner that is unlocked and it is clean. For those of you who are on Zoom, try to keep yourselves muted unless you are speaking or called upon, just to avoid feedback in the Zoom sphere. And on Zoom, because we're muted, we use jazz hands for applause instead of physical applause. A couple of announcements. I think it was already talked about a little bit before we pushed record, but our dues for the next 6 months of Toastmasters are due on, it's March 30th, I believe. So for everybody to renew, you have about a week to get those in. Joey sent out an email this past week about how the different ways that you can pay and get those in. So let's do it. It should really only take, it's one of those things that I know we put off, but it'll only take maybe 10 minutes of your time to do it. And we get club points if we get our dues paid on time. So that is an incentive for us as a club. Yeah, just drop the link in the chat again for those of you who are on Zoom.
And one is the top one, the email address is that's for PayPal, those that are familiar with PayPal. And again, we're 50 to 60 bucks. Usually our dues are 60, but since COVID, we've given that little leeway in there. We only get, if we, Toastmasters International gets 45 of that. So if you send 50, then we get 5. If you send 60, then we get 15 of that. And we use that money, especially in this whole hybrid thing, trying to put everything together to buy technology and things like that. So the email for those familiar with PayPal is fresnotm@gmail.com in the chat. And then if you want to click to pay, you can click that little PayPal link there and it'll allow you to put that in there, make it a little easier if you're not as familiar with PayPal.
Thank you, Joey. Regarding our agenda, we have one speech still scheduled, Farron, and you're prepared to give your speech.
I'm purposely unprepared. They are impromptu speeches.
Oh, cool.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting. All right. It looks like on the agenda then we had Denny down for 2 roles for all counter and evaluator of the speech, but she is not here. So can we have 2 people who might have to double up here, jump in and take over both of those roles?
So I can evaluate Farron. She gave me all the material, so I can do that.
Be the odd counter.
Perfect. Thank you, Heather. All right, with that taken care of then, I would like to pass the podium over virtually to our Toastmaster today, Ms. Kalani.
Thank you, Madam President. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can? Fantastic. I've been having issues with my AirPods today. Today's theme is going to be the greatest oxymoron or oxymorons. Personally, this is my favorite phrase. It's a figure of speech, which can be contradictory and then can be a word or a sentence. Now, as a millennial, I feel that we use these quite often. And it's actually one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters, was to omit this from my vocabulary. If you've heard, one of my favorite phrases is, yeah, no, you're right. And I'm pretty sure that this oxymoron phrase can speak for itself. Therefore, with our counter today, if you can catch my oxymorons of the day, I'd really appreciate it if we get to table topics. I will go ahead and introduce our general evaluator of the day, Mr. Joey Myers.
Thank you, Ms. Kalani. And as the general evaluator of the meeting, it is my job to introduce our leadership positions that will be doing different functions. And we will start off with our grammarian, who is going to introduce our word of the day, and that is Ms. Chanel West.
Thank you, Joey. So I made it easy on all of us today, no surprise. Our word of the day is going to be oxymoron. Kalani more or less just defined it for us. I don't have the definition to drop into the chat, so if somebody wants to do that from dictionary.com, go right ahead. But essentially an oxymoron is two words put together that are seemingly antonyms or opposites of each other. It's something that doesn't seem to make sense when paired. So we try to use this word in our conversation. If we're giving a speech, if we're doing our table topics, which we'll have later in the meeting, and then I will record who is using the word. Thank you, Joey.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Chanel. And I dropped that for those that are on the Zooms in the chat there. Gives you the word, gives you the how to pronounce, and then gives you the definition there for those that are keeping score. And then next on our list, one of our, do we decide Heather, huh? One of our most remembered roles for those new guests, and that's our awe counter, and that is going to be Miss Heather Davis.
Thank you, Joey and friends. As the awe counter, I will be throughout the meeting trying to catch crutch words that you may be using throughout the table topics, throughout the speech, anytime you have an opportunity to talk. Things like my personal favorite is things that are placeholders that don't necessarily need to be there. At the end of the meeting, I'll let everyone know how often they had these words in their vocabulary and hopefully be able to prove as the weeks go on. Normally we had a incentive jar. I know we haven't been doing that since the pandemic, but if you can, try and just be mindful of the words you're speaking. And that's my role today.
Thank you, Heather. And then our other role is our timer, and that is still Kaylani, right? Where's Kaylani at? Do we lose her?
It's me.
Oh, that's Heather again. Okay. There she is. All right,
Sorry.
Heather, go for it. Sorry.
No problem. So as a timer, I will be timing the table topics and Chanel's speech today. Table topics are going to be 1 to 2 minutes. And Chanel, I apologize. I don't know if it's 5 to 7 minutes that your speech. Oh, I'm sorry, Farron. Excuse me, Farron. If it's 5 to 7 minutes for your speech.
So it's actually going to be 2 impromptu speeches, and they are 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, so 2
So
to
it's
3
like
minutes.
Yeah, like a longer table topics.
You got it. So I will be counting or timing that. When you guys hit 1 minute during the table topics, I have like this yellow greenish post-it. When you hit 1 minute and 30, I have an orange post-it. And then when you hit 2 minutes, I got my pink. So that is my way of letting you know where you're on time-wise. And I'll pass it back to Joey.
Very cool. Thank you, Heather. And you'll treat that probably like an eval, like the evals to 2 to 3 minutes, right? It's the same thing, right? 2, 2.5, 3. So it's kind of like an eval. Thank you, Miss Heather. And then I will be doing also the zooming. So I'll be trying to zoom in on whoever our speakers are. The only time we don't usually do that is the table topics. We just keep this grid view so that we can see the beautiful shining faces that are looking back at us that are on the Zooms. And then one other role that we have is evaluator of a speech. I will be doing that for Farron. And the evaluator's role is just to listen And Farron has, or each speaker will have a sheet. It'll be a kind of a report evaluation sheet, and there will be a purpose of what the actual speech is. In Farron's case today, it's an impromptu speech. And like she just mentioned, she doesn't know what the topic's going to be beforehand out of, I think it's almost a dozen topics. And Kaylani will pick 2 of those, and each topic will be, she'll have to talk on for 2 to 3 minutes. So that will be the purpose of this particular speech. It's not all speeches. This is a special one. And I will evaluate her based on the criteria for what she's trying to do in this speech. So that is what the evaluator would do. Other than that, that's our team. And I want to pass the baton back to our Toastmaster of the day, who is Miss Kaylani.
Thanks, Joy. Being that you had such a thorough, go ahead and mark that on the counter. Being that you had such a thorough introduction for what the speech is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and just introduce Farron. And since you already got the time for the timer, we're going to go straight into it. This speech is number 1 of level 4 of the Engaging Humor Pathway. It's called The Power of Humor in an Impromptu Speech. There will be 2 speeches today, between 2 and 3 minutes, and there is not a title because they are both impromptu. Farron is our club's immediate past president and current VP of Education. She's been a member of Fresno City Toastmasters for 4 years and is in her 2nd pathway. Today, Farron, I have selected prompt number 11 for you. And the prompt reads, you are delivering a speech that requires presentation slides. Your computer stops working and you need to fill the time with an engaging speech while the technology issue is repaired. I'll be more than happy to repeat this for you, but without further ado, Ms. Farron Jacobson.
Thank you, Kalani. Unfortunately, my presentation has stopped working. So while people are repairing it, I will let you know about another time that something went not as I had planned it to go, even though I had done it plenty of times before. In my life, I'm a dog walker and a pet sitter. I have dogs coming in and out of my house all the time. Drop-offs happen, pickups happen. I have a gate in my front yard, so the dogs are enclosed in an area when they get dropped off at my house. And I've done this hundreds of times before. I've had plenty of clients. Almost every day this happens. One time, a dog was incoming. They were being dropped off. There were actually 2 dogs with this family, and it was the 3rd time I had watched these dogs. So I thought nothing of it. Cool, drop off your dogs to me. I'm going to get them in the house, get their crate set up. We're going to be fine. And it didn't go as planned. One dog went straight into my house. The other dog was running in circles around my front yard. I couldn't get her inside. The owner wants to just slip out through the gate. And I said, okay, I'm going to hold on to your dog because I did have a hold of her. She didn't want to go inside with me, but I said, I'm going to hold on to your dog and you can open the gate and get out. And then I'll work my way into my house. And he's like, oh, no, I'll just hop over the fence. It's a 3-foot fence. He tries to hop over where there's a little mound of dirt in my front yard, giving him a little bit extra leeway. He didn't make it. He broke 2 fence posts on my fence, was super embarrassed. He fell on his butt on the outside of my gate. And meanwhile, I'm struggling to hold on to his dog. And he apologizes and said, I will fix it when we return from our trip. Don't worry. And I just smiled through it and said, okay, have a good trip. He took off in the car, was driving down the street, and suddenly the dog gets loose from me, doesn't want to go into the house, but sees the car driving away and now hops over the 2 fence posts that were broken and was able to clear it just fine. She's an Australian Shepherd. She's quick. She was running down the street after her owner. She magically, though, turned around and came back to me, went into my neighbor's yard, and I had to go into my neighbor's yard, close their front gate until I could catch her and bring her back to my house. But that was just an example of when something goes wrong, you have to just smile through it and adapt and overcome. Hey, look, my slides are back on.
All right, Baron. I don't know if I can give you any feedback on that, but just know that I completely forgot that I couldn't clap. I was so invested in your story. I will go ahead and introduce the second topic, which is going to be question number 12, or prompt number 12. There is a sudden thunderstorm at a picnic for a large family reunion. Everyone is stuck in a gazebo. You decided to speak for a few minutes to entertain the group while the rain passes.
All right, everyone, it's raining out here. Rain reminds me of when I used to live in Texas. I lived there for 2 years, and we would have lots of random thunderstorms during the summertime. And I don't know if any of you are Texan or you're going to get offended by this, but Texans do not know how to drive in the rain or the snow. As soon as it starts to precipitate anything from the sky, they immediately just start driving off the road. It's insane. It's like a random pattern, which is an oxymoron. they I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens in their brain, but as soon as it starts thunderstorming in Texas, you'll see a bunch of cars just hitting guardrails and off the road. It just happens. Texas is also a place where I got my only speeding tickets in my life. I have never gotten a speeding ticket in California. And I really think that it's because when I lived there, I still had my California plates on my car and they targeted me. Texans don't like Californians. It's a thing. Also, if you come to a four-way stop in California, we do a pretty decent job of working a four-way stop. We know who goes first and we can execute it pretty well in most places. In Texas, those rules don't apply. It's whoever has the biggest truck goes first. Guaranteed. That's all I got.
Thank you, Karen. I can honestly say you made that look a lot easier than I would have done it. And I'm super excited to get this prompt. And I will make sure that you are my table topic master when the roles are reversed. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce, who is Sarah here today?
Yes.
I'm on Zoom. I'm right here. Hi, Kalani.
All right, Sarah, I will go ahead and pass the torch to you for our table topics of the day.
All right. Thank you very much. I love table topics. It is a great time. Thank you, Jose. And I didn't catch the other name. Is it Joe?
Joe. Yes.
Joe? All right. Hi, Joe. I'm Sarah. It's nice to meet you both. So this is an opportunity where you guys can actually participate too, if you would like. We're going to give 3 random questions and you can go up to the podium and you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about whichever question that you would like. It's in speaking, we have prepared speeches and extemporaneous. And so this is the extemporaneous time when we get to have a bunch of random questions and get to answer them on the spot and on the fly to learn how to adapt, kind of like Farron was just doing, except usually it's more prepared. So that was a different prepared speech than we normally get to hear. So there you go. With that, I have questions in the chat. I just placed them and I will read them to you. The first one is, what is your opinion, since we're talking about oxymorons, what is your opinion about using oxymorons? Are you for or against using them and why? Just to give an example, so in my life, my family is very literal. And so every time you say that, they look at you like you're crazy and dumb. And so it's when those are happening, it's not always a good thing. And it's just kind of confusing in our family because we're just like, we don't quite understand them. But then I really loved what Kalani was sharing earlier too. It was really cool just to hear a different side of that, where it's just part of how you speak. So anyway, but I would love to hear other people's opinions on oxymorons. Second question is, if you have a favorite word, what is it and why? And the third one is, share with us a major turning point in your life and why it has been so impactful. So we have a variety of different questions. The favorite word one, my favorite word is vexing, and in Pride and Prejudice says, "Oh, you take delight in vexing me," says the wife to her husband, because he's always teasing her and going on it. So I just think it's a really fun word. But you can expand on that, take 1 to 2 minutes, and whoever like to go first, raise your hand. I would love to have somebody take it. Anybody? Going once, Going twice. Oh, all right, Joe. Yeah. All right, you're gonna shake hands with Chanel.
And it's my name is Jose. That's Joe.
Oh, hi, Jose. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Jose. Good job.
It's okay.
Technically, you're Joe too.
What's that?
Technically, you're Joe too.
I am.
It won't be
Yeah.
it won't be the worst thing that you've been called, Jose.
Yeah, I actually have a son named Joseph. So yeah, Joseph and Joseph, my son.
Nice.
So before I share a major turning point in, am I doing this correctly? Can I just go into it?
Go for it. Yep.
I know, just so you know why we're here, it's been about 3 years where I kind of, I was reading a book. I can't remember what the name of the book was, but they mentioned Toastmasters in the book, and it piqued my interest. So I looked it up about 3 years ago, and then it's one of those things you get an idea about and then you forget. And then another couple months ago, I started looking into Toastmasters because in October, I switched positions at my job where we work in a program called Land Use Planning Program. And it's actually our job to go and talk to city officials, such as city planners. In the fire service, we're traditionally what you call hose draggers. You know, we go put fires out, and the educated people are the people that work in the cities and stuff like that. But now it's my job to go talk to educated people out in the cities and talk their language and present. We make our job is to make presentations and to tell them why we're there. So getting better at public speaking is hugely important in our job to convey confidence in what we're doing, what we're selling our product. So that's why we're here. I'm trying to get better at public speaking and being more confident. Joe is here by default today because today's actually his first day in this program. I said, hey, what are you doing? You want to join me for lunch at this thing called Toastmasters? And he's like, sure. So he's here. I hope he's comfortable, but I'm sure he's fine. But anyways, a major turning point in my life, now that I've given you the backstory of why I'm here, is when I went permanent in my job. When we first started CAL FIRE, you're seasonal. You're not sure if you're going to be working during the winter. But in 2008, I went permanent in my job, and that's when I really went in depth, and because I can buy a house, and that was a major turning point in my life where I now had a secure job for the rest of my life. So thankful for that, and that was the turning point in my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jose. Not Joe. Jose, thank you. Awesome. All right. Would anybody else like to tell what your opinion about using oxymorons is? Or do you have a favorite word and why? Or would you like to share a major turning point in your life?
I'll go, Sarah.
Go, Joey.
I'm gonna hit the first two.
All right.
Just so I can work in the word of the day. There isn't really a favorite oxymoron. A lot of them are really good, but I think my opinion on them is I love them because you can use them as humor. And humor, we've discussed before with stories. If you can take, or at least get your audience into your story emotionally, is to pull them along that roller coaster. So having a high point where everything's happy and go lucky, and then you have them down, you bring them down here or in the valley, and there's the pain, and there's the pain, and then pleasure, and then pain, and then pleasure. And with oxymorons, that seems to be kind of how you use those. And that's my opinion on oxymorons. I like to use them for like the humor factor to get people, and you can get your point across pretty quickly with just a small couple words. Now, the second one, if you have a favorite word, what is it and why? Well, I got my favorite 2 words right now that we've been using with my baseball players over at Clovis West, the varsity team. I've been asked a part-time hitting coach over there. And the 2 words are get it, and then repeat it again. Get it, get it, get it. So we talk about it in terms of hitting, when you got a pitcher throwing pitches at you that you don't know what pitch it's going to be, where it's going to be, and how fast it's going to be. So what we do is we hunt, and that word combo that we use is get it, get it. If you get the pitch that you're looking for in the location, get it, get it, get it. Makes it really easy. And at games, they hear me say that a lot. And now I have all the guys, since they've learned it, they say it for me. Get it, get it, get it, get it. And they all know what it means. And it's a great word combo. It's just 2 words repeated 2 times, and they do a great job with it. So that is my opinion on oxymorons and my favorite 2 words, not 1 word, 2 words.
Thank you, Joey. So I'm kind of curious on that. Is it kind of like telling a dog like fetch, like you're telling him like go get it kind of thing? You're like,
Yeah,
get
go
it.
get
So
it.
you're like,
So that pitch shows up, that specific pitch in that location shows up shows up there. Then you get it. Get it. You should be
nice.
hitting it.
Nice.
Mhm.
Oh, it's on the hitting, not on the catch. Oh, okay.
On the
I
hitting
missed
side.
that
On the
part.
hitting side.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Nice.
You runners, Sarah.
I know. Running after the ball. Go. Awesome. All right. Would anybody else like to volunteer before I start requesting people to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Go, Heather.
So I'd like to answer the question about what is your favorite word. And I remember growing up hearing it, thinking that this word was always funny. And my dad would often use it, and it's the word kerfuffle. It's of English descent, and it means a commotion or fuss, especially caused by one conflicting views. And thinking about it now that I'm older, I just find it quite ironic, a little bit of an oxymoron, because my family, we grew up kind of very one mindset, and then the older that we've got, the more kerfuffle our ideas have become. But that's family, you know, we grow and you change and you come back together, and yeah, so that's my favorite word for the day. I can't think of anything else to say about that.
You could just say kerfuffle, kerfuffle, kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle.
'Cause it's just a fun word. I could see why it'd be a
It is
favorite.
fun.
Maybe we should have that for our word of the day next time.
We should.
Can you use it as like kerfuffling or not? Wait.
I like to think you could. We'll find out.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. All right. Who's up next? All right. Can I pick on you, Chanel?
Yes, you can pick on me, Sarah.
Yay.
I'm going to answer question number 2. But before I tell you one of my favorite words, first I'm going to tell you a little bit about my reading journey over the past couple of years. So I went to a Bible college in school and consequently read a ton of theology, philosophy, ethics type books when I was in college. And when I graduated, I hit this sort of wall against reading, like could not touch a book for about a year and a half, like could not bring myself to read. Big struggle. A couple of years ago, I wanted to try to get past that barrier. And so I decided to set a goal for myself to start reading more fiction and check out some of the classics, the great classic books that I had never read growing up. So over the past couple of years, I've read some of those books like Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, one of the Bronte sisters, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Right now, I'm reading The Grapes of Wrath, the Steinbeck classic that I never read when I was in high school, like most people. And one of the things that I love about these books, and especially the old English literature, is the beautiful language that they use. It's so flowy and smooth and lots of big words, and I really enjoy that. One of the words that is a little ye old English sounding that I really like to use is shan't. The contraction shall not. It basically means the same thing as will not, won't, but I think that shan't just sounds a lot prettier and more elegant than won't. Like if you're telling your children, you could say, I won't pick up your clothes for you, or you could say, no, I shan't pick up your clothes for you. Just way classier. If you have to break the news to somebody that you can't go on a trip with them, you could say, I won't be able to go to the beach with you. Or you could say, I shan't be able to go to the beach with you. Much classier, much nicer. I enjoy using that word. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chanel. That was great. I actually know that word from oh, I just watched it recently. It's a 1960s. The two twins, they get split up. What's that? What is it?
Sarah, the Parent Trap.
Parent Trap. That's right. Because I
That's on my
saw
mute button.
my aunt, and then she goes on and on about shants, and because she's got to try and get it right in the Bostonian accent. So that's where I know the shant from. Shant. Do you know that one? Anyway. So thank you very much. I think we have time for maybe one more. Ray, would you like to go, or would somebody else like to volunteer?
I can go.
All right, Ray.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I think I would like to answer number one, oxymorons. They're similar to irony. I believe this might be an oxymoron. I am visually impaired and I work with other people that are visually impaired and blind. So a lot of times in the community, it comes off that should you say, I'll see you later, or in that remark, is that acceptable in our community? And actually, it's very acceptable, and we very appreciate when people say that, because it just makes us feel included. So I always have the tendency to tell my other blind friend, "Hey, I'll see you later," and people are like, "Is that appropriate?" It's always appropriate, and I always laugh at that, and I'm always for that type of oxymoron, ironic stuff. That's it.
Awesome, Ray. I really appreciate that, because there's so many times when I just don't know. I'm like, am I totally just going to offend somebody right now, even not even thinking about it? And so just you having a sense of humor about that and being able to say like, yes, no problem. I thank you for sharing that very much.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I think I'm supposed to see who is general evaluator today.
That's me, Sarah.
Oh, Joey, back to you then.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. I think that was great. 3 questions. I love that. And that's one of the ways for Joe and Jose. I know Ray's seen this before. That's one of the ways we do table topics, where beforehand you have 3 questions that are ready and waiting for you to answer. And then we also do a shotgun round, where it's almost like Farron's speech today, where she kind of had an idea of what she was going to be asked. She just didn't know which of the dozen questions she was going to be asked. And sometimes we'll have one where we got 365 different topics or questions that will be asked of you, and you can either pick a number, or we can pick a number for you, and then you don't know right away. It's super impromptu. So there's a couple different ways that we do table topics, but one of my favorite parts. So thank you, Sarah, for setting that in motion. And now with that, what I will do is, since I'm the evaluator of Farron's speech, I will go right into that. So let me see if we can set us up here in a dual pane before I get started. So we'll pin Farron, and then we'll pin myself. There we go. So we get a little by camera here. So Farron, great job on the impromptu. And like I mentioned earlier, that this is a tougher type of speech to do, because you don't know what question is going to be asked of you. You have an idea of the dozen or so topics or scenarios, but you don't know which one's going to get picked out of the 2. That is a more advanced style of speech. So don't let that scare you away, Ray, Joe, and Jose, as Joe and Jose being our guests. Your first speech is going to basically be an icebreaker where you talk about yourself. It's not going to be like what Farron just did. So don't let that scare you away. So what I was supposed to do is take the 2 scenarios that she was given and almost rate them based on which one did she do better on and which one did she have a little bit more traction on. First one, if you remember, was speech number 1. It was a dog walking story. I thought what she did really well in this story was building curiosity. She also picked a story and a topic that many of us have experience with. We either have dogs, or we know people who have dogs, or we have cats. Usually it's kind of either a cat or a dog thing. There are some people out there that are in the middle that don't have any pets. So we understand that, but the majority have either dog or cat. And she picked a topic, obviously, that we have experience with. Majority of an audience would have experience with. She used, as you could see, the humor and sarcasm. You could see the smile on her face or the smirk on her face as she's telling the story. And it was very conversational. just like if we were sitting there, you probably felt this, sitting there sitting at a table with her at a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatnot, and you could see her really connecting with us and telling the story and telling it in a way that's it has a conversational tone and friendly tone. And she's trying to make you smile, trying to make you laugh while she tells the story. Great eye contact. Sometimes we have to look up or to the side just so that we're in our mind, we're going in and trying to find out what we're going to say next. She did that very minimally. And I think she kept eye contact pretty well for that story number 1. And again, like I said, very conversational. Speech number 2, that was the Texas rain story when she lived in Texas, was working in Texas. And this one, if number 1 was more of a building curiosity and using a little bit more humor and sarcasm, this one was more controversy. So she started off with her story saying, sorry for you Texans out there, but you suck at driving in the snow and the rain. And then I think the other one was, and the other thing is Texans don't like Californians. And controversial stories are really good. They're a little polarizing. They could be, depending on what you talk about. This one obviously isn't so bad. I'm sure many Texans out there would say, yeah, probably I can't drive in the rain or the snow. Yeah, we don't really think too highly of Californians. So that's something that they would probably side with her on. They wouldn't really take offense to. But she used the controversy in a controversial story to really catch our attention and develop that desire for us to listen to see what happened at the end of it. Now, this one was a little bit shorter in time, as you saw. And I feel like she was much more comfortable in story number 1 with the dog walking. That was much more recent, obviously, too, because Texas, how long ago was that, Farron?
11 years.
11 years ago. So it was a story, it was a time in her life that was a little farther away, a little bit harder to remember the details of what's going on. And I know she's doing, that's part of her repertoire of a bunch of different entrepreneurial things that she's doing is the dog walking. So that's a much more recent story that she can actually flesh out in detail. So I would say she did a lot better on speech number 1. And I think we got to really know her really well in that one with all the different things that I had mentioned with being conversational and the eye contact and the humor. And just to round this off on the evaluation, just a couple of things on her actual evaluation sheet that I filled out. So I think she excelled at picking interesting stories that are relevant to the impromptu topic. Again, the first one, she used more curiosity, got us into the story in that way, built desire. And then the second one was more controversy to bring us into the story. You may want to work on, this is a tough one and it requires organization. So this is a little bit of to challenge yourself and to work on is having only a couple stories that can be interchangeable. That is the challenge with something where you have 12 different topics to talk on. You don't know which ones it's going to be. And this can also be in a job interview too. So if you know you're going to be in front of a panel and you're given the list of questions that you're going to be asked, is try and condense down different stories that can be used interchangeably from different questions that are there. And your success in that type of a speech or in that type of a hiring process will depend on how well you've organized your time and filtered your time in looking at those questions, saying, you know what, I got 3 or 4 great stories that I can use interchangeably in a way that I can shape it in a different way to be relevant to that question. And that's the only thing and that requires a little bit more deep thought. And I don't know how much time you put into this. Sometimes we don't put enough time into it, but that would be my biggest piece of advice. But Farron, I think you did a great job. Great example for some of the new people that they're like Ray or that are going to be joining us or Joe and Jose. So great job, Farron. And let me unpin myself so you're not seeing just my ugly mug up here. There we go. All right, that is the evaluation portion. And now I'm going to call on my leadership team, my evaluation team. We will leave the word of the day, Chanel, until the end so that we can give a chance to some others. Awe counter and timer. So that was Heather Davis. Go ahead and give us our reports on that.
Thank you, Joey. For the timer, Chanel, your table topic was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Joey, yours was 1 minute and 50 seconds. And with your evaluation, it was 5 minutes and 17 seconds. Jose, you spoke for 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Theron, your first speech was 2 minutes and 41 seconds, and your second speech was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Ray, you were just under a minute at 52 seconds. And myself was under a minute too at 58 seconds. Sarah, your word of the day was so, but you only said that just a few times. And Farron, your only crutch word that I caught was just a few elongated ands twice. And that was just probably because, you had to think on the spot. But other than that, I didn't really catch any crutch words. Jose, I promise I'm not picking on you. I still have trouble with a lot of crutch words, is my favorite, and it was your very first one. So overall, you did great. So that was the exact number. I'll be honest, I didn't count. You kind of hit all like the main, so's, just, and so you kind of hit a little bit of everything. So it was not bad your first time, I will say that, and we can only improve from here. So wonderful job, everybody.
Yeah, welcome to the club, Jose. Welcome to the club. That's what our guests always remember, the counter. That's what they always remember. Very cool. All right. And then our word of the day, how'd we do, Miss Chanel West?
I caught Farron used it in her speech, and Joey, Sarah, and Ray, you guys all used it surrounding table topics in some way. Heather, did I miss you? Did you use it also? Okay.
I fit it in my table topic.
Very good. And Jose, did you use oxymoron? Word of the day? No. Okay. I didn't either. I missed it. That's one of my chronic weak spots in Toastmasters. Always missing the word of the day. But good job to everybody else.
All right. Thank you, Miss Chanel. My overall evaluation of the meeting, I think we did great. We started a little bit late. I know poor Chanel's over there, got on her own trying to get that meeting all set up for our live folks over there, but it was nice to see Jose and Joe show up for the meeting. I hope we didn't let them down. So we started a little bit late, but we only had one speech with Farron, and I think we were able to get a little bit more on time. Our table topics were great. Allows us to learn a little bit more about our members here and our guests. And we had our evaluation as usual. So I think overall, and I think we're going to end on time because I'm going to end, as you saw, went way over my evaluation. So I think I've talked a little bit too much today. I'm going to send it over back to our El Presidente, Chanel West.
Thank you, Joey. I want to give a shout out to Joey for jumping in last minute as evaluator today and taking over for Denny, and also Heather for jumping in and doing double duty on table topics or timer and off counter. Appreciate that from you guys. I want to double check because I keep forgetting to ask. Does anybody have any birthdays that are coming up within the next month that we can acknowledge? No, we're good. Okay. So usually at the end of the meeting, we like to give our guests a chance just to ask any questions or give any comments about what they thought of their first meeting. And I don't know if we have a guest on Zoom or if that is.
I think that's Mike. Yeah, I think that's Mike. Mike is official, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Yay. I'm glad to hear that.
Official again, should I say. His second time through.
Oh, this is, if I may, this is his cousin. Sorry, he invited me on to kind of get an idea of, how you guys do things. So sorry about that.
You sound just like him. I thought you were just kidding at first. I gotta say.
Seriously, it's like a genetic thing. It's around.
Oh, well, welcome.
So that's not Mike? So that's not Mike?
No,
Oh, that's
sir.
your cousin?
Yeah, I'm Mike's cousin.
Oh my goodness.
He invited me last week and I couldn't make it. I'm like, oh, I'll hop on. He's gonna speak today. And oh, where's Mike? But
trick or treat.
Yeah, but thank you guys for allowing me to at least listen in. It was again very interesting, very
informative. Very cool. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize then, Addison, for not acknowledging you earlier. We thought that it was Mike.
Assumed it was Mike on a different account.
I did wonder. I'm like, oh, they must have people hopping on all the time.
Yeah.
But thank you and all the same.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So Addison, since we brought it up, do you have any questions, comments, feedback about the first meeting? And if not, that's okay. You can always email or reach out later also.
Oh, no, not as of yet. Again, I'm kind of, Mike asked me to, he wanted me to help him go over his speeches because I've had some experience copy editing and stuff. And so I'd never copy edited a speech before, and I just wanted to hear, what you guys focus on and, what I guess the themes of each meeting are and things like that. So
Very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And to our two guests in person, I think Jose, when you came up, you already shared kind of how you learned about Toastmasters and what you're hoping to get out of it in your professional life. Did you guys have any questions or feedback?
No, I want to say thank you for inviting me. I do like the group already. With Joey, I want to have something in common. I'm also a baseball coach. I started my own travel baseball organization 6 months ago that's taking off. So I have several reasons for wanting to be a leader, speak better. I'm always speaking in front of parents.
Yep.
And I appreciate the hospitality today very much. I like the group already. And thank you very much. My only question is, will this continue to be a hybrid meeting? Are we going to continue to be online and in person?
Yes, yeah, that is our plan for the foreseeable future. I don't see it changing. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jose.
Anyway, we're trying to get obviously more people to come in person, but it's been kind of hard post-pandemic and with people's schedules and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like for me, for instance, next year, so I have a kindergartner who's a half-day schedule, so I can't make it over there on Tuesdays because I have to pick her up and bring her home, get her fed, and then jump on here. But next year in the fall, starting in the fall, we'll have both of our kids will be going to school till 3, so I can make the meetings in person. So everybody kind of has a little bit of a either hang up or whatever, but it at least allows us that can't make it that we can make it. Oxymoron.
Perfect. Good job, Joey. And so I'll also touch on briefly for you guys, the curriculum in Toastmasters is called Pathways and it is online. And so it takes you through different aspects of public speaking to work on different facets of it, whether it's speech content, structure, hand movements, vocal variety, things like that. But I think we always like to emphasize that it is really customizable, and we like anybody who comes, like everybody has their own personal goals and things that they want to get out of it. So the topics are always, you get to choose them. If you are preparing like for a specific speaking engagement, you have something coming up, like you can come and practice here and get feedback. Like Sarah she's the executive director of a nonprofit called Evangel Home. She'll usually give her she has to speak at the banquet every year. So she'll usually practice her speech here and get feedback and stuff. So we want your time here to be beneficial to you and whatever your purposes are. Yeah. All right, any other comments on that? If not, I know we're out of time, so we'll move on quickly and fill out the agenda for next week. Cool. Okay, so Heather left. I still have her
She's
down.
good. Yeah, she said she should be able to do her speech next week.
Okay. And then I have Kalani, and then Emerson requested to move his speech to next week also. So hopefully out of those 3, we'll get at least 1 or 2. So volunteers to evaluate speeches. I can put myself down for one of them.
I could do one.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Farron, do you want to do one?
You're gonna be here.
Sure.
Okay. And Ray, you are official now, so we got to get you on the agenda. Do you have something that you'd like to start off with? Table topics, timer, off counter?
Word of the day.
Maybe the word of the day. That'll probably be something I can adapt to.
Sarah.
Okay, and then I might need to fill you guys in for some other roles too.
You can throw me in for Toastmaster if you need me, Chanel.
Okay, thank you, Joey. Farron, can I write you in for something else?
General evaluator, maybe.
Yeah, put me wherever you want.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The rest of it we'll figure out. All right. Thank you guys. That is all we have for our meeting today then. So meeting officially adjourned.
Right.
Bye, Chanel.
Great week, ladies and gents.
Thank you.
Bye, Jose. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Bye,
Yeah.
Addison.